Let's understand what exactly is Creo Option Modeler extension and what are the benefits and advantages for the end users who are into designing or manufacturing. Let's understand the product and its solution capabilities, process opportunities, and the value. So, to talk about Creo Options Modeler extension, Option Modeler extension's specialized functionality is to simplify the creation and management of configurable products using interchangeable module variants. So, to be more precise, any product which has been designed and ready for manufacturing, there will be a variant or the choices to make as an end user or a customer. How do you make as a designer and how do you provide it to or you share those variants and choices to manufacturing division is the question. Now, how do you do that is with a simple solution is with Creo Options Modeler extension. So, customers who want the option to configure and customize the products will be looking at variants. Difficult to create and manage configurable products? Yes, with some of the tools, you might have restrictions in doing this or in creating these kind of products. So, as a designer, there is always a struggle to make a customization and configuration because you have limitations in the product or the application. So, if you are using limited standard components and modular products, you wanted to customize between the limited sources, yes, you can do that. Last stage identification of errors resulting in rework and scrap. This will lead to costlier manufacturing and the validation would take more time. As a solution, Creo Option Modeler simplifies the creation and managing specialized tools to define configurable modules where you can define what is required for what product, define configurable products. You can create a products within the said assembly and then you can save it as a different products. You can define your own choices and options and finally build a variant builder inside of this application which will help you to customize your own product. This particular configurable modules is basically a overloaded assembly. Overloaded assembly is basically you create an assembly and you have some of the parts or some of the assemblies have multiple variants of it, multiple design variations. So you can configure those design variations and create a module, or basically in a layman term you can call it as a sub-assembly. And once you define those modules, you can include those modules to the main assembly or you can build a new configurable assembly. So both options are available. You can create a new assembly and you can also include that into a existing assembly. Once you do that, then you have to assign the choices between the components or the parts which you have loaded onto that assembly, right? So this is one of the option or the choices which is mandatory to make. And once you do that, the last option is to build a variants. So how do you build it? There is a separate UI which will help you to understand what are the variations, what are the choices I have and how do I make those choices and how it reflects to my existing or the current assembly. So that's where you build the variant builder. So with all these options, I would like to show you the live demonstrations on how to build this options modeler inside of Creo assembly. This I would like to show you one of the assemblies which I am going to refer, which I am going to use it for my demonstration. This is the bike assembly and you have multiple parts, multiple sub-assemblies created over here. Now, I would like to keep this as a reference for my demonstrations which you are looking forward. Now, in this particular assembly, we have multiple parts, individual parts and small or sub-assemblies. Now, specifically, we are going to work on this front wheel assembly. Now, if you want to specifically look at those assembly, I would like to show. Now, if you open up this assembly, this is the assembly. Now, in this assembly, what are the parts which are included, which are available? Now, as a front wheel assembly, we have front wheel as a part, one particular part, then tire, and then disc, which is placed front and back. Now, the same assembly, I would like to add few more parts or create a new assembly or new module assembly which can help us in creating a variant builder. Now, with this, what I can do, start a new file, go with assembly, and if you are a Creo user, you might have seen these subtypes, but you might have not used specific to these two options, that is configurable module and configurable product. Now, differences between these two. Now, configurable module is a kind of assembly, a small or a sub assembly which will be created inside of an assembly. Okay, it is like you create a configurable module, it's a sub assembly. Now, what is configurable product? Configurable product is an entire assembly. Okay, it's an assembly consisting of different configurable modules. I would like to go with configurable module, and I would like to name it as bike underscore front assembly. Okay, so if you want to go with default, or you can check that, and you can still go and check for MMPS or whatever the related application or the template you want to use it. So I'll go with this and here. Now, how do you make a difference whether it's a modular assembly or a normal assembly? Now, if you look at this icon on your history tree or the specification tree here on the left hand side, there is a change in the icon, right? If you want to have a clarification, you can just switch back to the main assembly. Now, these are the assemblies, but there are just a normal assembly icons, but it is not a configurable module. But whereas if you come here, it is a configurable icon or a configurable module icon. As I mentioned earlier, you can create a modular assembly from your existing assembly, or you can build a new variant, or by clicking just add module variant. As I mentioned earlier, there are some variations in the parts, so I am working on that. I am taking that references. Now I'll go to this particular folder which has a different variations of similar parts. Let me come with the first part here. Okay, open it, and this is my first part. Now, as soon as you call off the first part as an assembly, it will take a default references. I'll click on this and I'll go to edit definition, and it's under fixed constraint which is not required. I would like to delete and keep it as default constraint. Okay, yes, this is fine. Okay, now just shade it so that the video is more relevant. Then I would like to go with this part, that is the mag wheel part. Okay, so it is also gone back to the same position, that is fixed position. Now go back and delete it, and then you create a relationship between the existing component. Now what I'll do is I would like to select this and this, I would like to do is to on the planar display and select this and this. This has in distance, and I would like to. So now fully constrained with assumptions. Fine, that looks fine. And then another module which has to be added is the disk. At the disk, again go back to the it as automatic. Now pull up a bit so that you will understand where exactly is the component. Now what I would like to make is to select this and then coincident with the face, select this face and this face. So that we can fix the center of it. That is this. Perfect. And this is the which I would like to add another disk, that is the smaller one. That smaller one, and edit the constraint, and then similarly go on constraining it with the elements. Now go back and then fix this to this, then you can pick it from the list if you want. I can say I can do that. Here it is. Right. Now I'm more clearance. I would like to hide this so that it is easier for me to understand where exactly is the assembly. And again go back and delete the existing constraints and keep it automatic and arrangements. So initial alignments onto here, then another last constraint, that is I can just constrain this surface. Coincident. Okay, this is distance. Coincident time. This again. Okay. On this, and then final a part which has to be aligned, and I would like to change it or define it to be with automatic, and then cylindrical, and then I have a constraint where I can automatically planar and then find. This is what you call it as a complete basically from the original assembly. You will have few more components which is very similar to the existing components. Now what are those? I would like to show you. One is front wheel part, that's the original one, and then we have a mag variant out of it, and then this is the disc part, and then we have two different disc variants. One is the smaller in size, and then there is a design change, that is triad, and then the common item or a common part here is the tire. Right. Now what next? So once we build this assembly, Now what you can do is you have to assign the choices. Okay, before assigning the choices, you have to create some tags. Okay, tags between the components. Now there are two things. One is the tag here, reference pairing tag. Now the active component. Now select this, and the pairing component I can select the assembly is this. Now evaluate and create tags. This will create your tags automatically. This might create one tag or two tags or multiple tags. So if you are not interested to create so much of tags or so many tags, you can avoid this. Yes, and then you can go to tags individually. What I'll do is I'll just hide the rest of the parts, and I would like to create a tag between these two parts. Now how do I do that is go to reference tag, select it, and now first thing you need to select is the I can pick up the right one, select this, and like this, and we can show this. Now, okay, a tag is created, and if you are specific in the namings, you can provide those names. So definition, say, okay, the tag. Now these two components are tagged. Now what I can do is I'll keep this as existing, and this I'll hide it. Okay, now next I'll do this, and I would like to create a tag here. So select this, and you can hide this and show this. Now create another tag here. Hide this and show the tag. Create multiple tags, but still I am creating one single tag based on your requirement. Finally, last one, a particular component. So becomes one and show, and then you can so once you create the tags, identify whether it has been assigned with the tags or not. This is the footer, and you would see the tags. Now finally, the next step is to assign the choices. Now let's save this for a moment now, and I would like to save it. Directory and module assembly save. Okay, save this, and then finally I can assign the choices. Now while creating or while assigning the choices, you would like to create the variant or a name for those variants. What are those variants? Now as soon as you open up the assign choices window, you have this pen, and then double click on this. Sorry. And then say disk underscore type, enter, and double click here, and then say disk underscore org, enter, disk underscore small, disk underscore. Now double click on this again, then say v underscore type, enter, v have created these two variants and these number of choices. Now say OK, and then now how to assign the choices? Very simple. Now go to disk original and click here and then select the front wheel. Now, so two options, either you want to assign it or not assign it. Okay, you have two things you can assign it. So now I go with disk small, click again, and then you have disk small, select this, right? Again click this, disk triad, click here, and then disk triad, assign it. Spoke or the wheel type, select the wheel type, select the choice here, and then keep it as wheel. Select this, and then mag, and then select this mag, then I can assign this. Now if you want to check back again, okay, right, done. Again and see what are the types. Now we have disk original. So once we are done with that module assembly, I would like to come back to the main assembly, that is module product. I've already saved this as a bike module product as a configurable assembly. Now let's look at where is my front wheel assembly. Now what I can do is I can either suppress this or I can delete this sub-assembly, because this is not a front wheel module assembly, this is a normal sub-assembly. Now let me delete that, and then I would like to assemble it with my new module assembly. Say open, and now let's go back and delete it and say this as a default, right? So with that, now just need to change the representation of this particular assembly and then keep this. Now if you look at the representation, let's keep it as master selection. If you click on this module assembly, you will see what are those choices which has been connected between the components. With all these steps involved already created, now we should look around in creating a variant builder. So Creo Options Variant Builder will give you a separate UI which is available within a click as Variant Builder, and then if you have assigned the choice already and if you have used that particular assembly, module assembly inside of this product assembly, it is available for you to select, right? And on the left hand side you will see the variants, and on the mid of a screen, mid of the window, you will see the model tree with the complete set of assembly, and on the right hand side you will have the graphical representation of that assembly, and the one with the grayed out visual, that's particularly the assembly which we are working on. Now apart from this, at the top you will have model tree selection or option selection. So I would like to keep this as an option selection, and on the right hand side next to that it is the name of the assemblies. Now once you make a choice and you want to save that choice, you can just define a name or provide your own name and then use this option as variant specific to save. Now let's do the first sample. Now I'll go with disk triad, and then wheel. It's both. I'll just say update assembly, and before, if you're not changing, it will ask you to change. I'll say no, and I would like to save this as bike underscore L1. Okay, this is my first choice, and I would like to save this. Okay, so options: save variant specific to this assembly or save variant specific to local file. Now what are the difference between these two is, save variant specific to this assembly is you are saving this particular bike underscore L1 in this assembly itself. Now update assembly and then save. Okay. Now if you look at this, I have a triad disk and then a mag wheel. Okay, with the overloaded assembly, now I have a choice made out of it, saying that I wanted to have a triad disk along with a mag wheel. Now back, if you want to change another, you can change. Now what I can do is, I can have disk small along with mag, and then I would like to save this as bike underscore N1. I'll save this in the specific assembly, or you want to look at what does this local file means. So I'll just click on the local file, and you can specifically save this particular product as a separate assembly instead of keeping that particular in a assembly. Now this CB underscore bike underscore model underscore product, you can name it additionally to make a difference out of it, or you can just mention the same name, and then that particular assembly variant will be saved as .vsp extension. Okay, so now I'll save this as a dot. Now let me update this assembly and say yes, and here it is. Okay, now maybe this as master. Now this is what I wanted to choose between the options. I have chosen it. Variant I can build out of this. Again, go back. I would like to keep it as disk original and then spoke original. So I can make this as bike underscore. So as you see, L1 is already saved and the N1 is separately saved. So now I'll keep it as X1. Okay, so I would like to save it as inside of this assembly and update it. Now again, just a quick change on the representation. You could have managed this with the earlier while you created a module, you could have managed this, but we left out that option and we are doing it. So nothing to worry. You can always switch between the representations and you can update your assembly based on your choices. Now, how do I work on this original assembly and make a quick changes to the modular selections? Now instead of going to variant builder, what I can do is apply variant specification. I have two different, in total as a 3, but in assembly it is 2, and there is one separate which is saved. Now L1, so I can switch back to L1 and it will allow me to have it. Slide changes here. So you can switch between those representations or variants at any point of time. Okay. But yes, a slight change here, we have to do it, and we will do it. Stir and this should be right. So yes, with that we are now come to an end of this demonstration on how to use Creo Options Modeler, how to build a module assembly, how to create a product assembly, module product assembly, how to assign the choices, how to build the variation, and so on. So with this, I would like to end my presentation, and if you have any comments or questions, please leave it on the comments table. Thank you, and we will join back again for multiple other sessions. Thank you.